Welcome to the regular meeting of the Dayton Board of Selectmen, Wednesday, July 13th, 2022 at 6:03 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting via Zoom and in person. The meeting ID for Zoom login is 895-6626-0509. Passcode 993489. Phone login would be 1-929-205-6099. This agenda is subject to the revisions and additions prior to the meeting. Public input may be provided using the following methods: contacting our office at Board of Selectmen at Dayton-ma.gov to provide input prior to the meeting, via Zoom, call in by phone, continue play on Dayton Channel 9 and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Town of Dayton. This meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The minutes are a revision that was originally posted on July 11th, 2022 at 4:11 p.m. At this time, I'd like to call the order. Mr. Pacheco?
Present.
Mr. Karen?
Present.
And Chairman Hull is present. I ask at this time if everyone could stand for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Since our last meeting, 3 residents of our community have passed. The first, Tyler J Lahain, 27, passed away unexpectedly on Wednesday, June 29th at 2022 at Brigham and Women's Hospital. He was the beloved husband of Alyssa McLaughlin Lahain. He graduated from Dayton Rehoboth High School in 2013 and joined the Army in 2014. Tyler's dad was a call firefighter for Dayton, and Tyler was a former member of Dayton's junior firefighters. Also, William Pollock, 94, passed away peacefully on June 17 at his home in Dayton. He served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War. He was married to Elizabeth Hooley Pollock. And lastly, Mark Andrew Nato, age 61 of Dayton, passed away on Tuesday, July 15, 2022, at his residence. Before his illness, Mark was employed by G. Lopes Construction as a heavy equipment fleet manager mechanic for 30 years. He proudly served his country with the U.S. Navy. This time, could we ask for a moment of silence? Thank you. And our sincere condolences to the families of these residents of Dayton. Thank you. The first item on the agenda this evening is the interview of the Chief of Police, Sean P. Cronin. The Board of Selectmen, upon learning of Chief McDonald's planned retirement, voted on March 16, 2022, to engage public safety consultants to lead the town through the police chief hiring process. The Board of Selectmen met with Chief Russell Stevens, a public safety consultant, to review the scope of the engagement on April 6, 2022. We sent out internal postings on April 14th. There was one internal applicant, Lieutenant Sean Cronin. Lieutenant Cronin went through an assessment conducted by public safety consultants on May 21st. Included in the packet is the summary from Lieutenant Cronin's assessment. I will, at this time, read that recommendation into the minutes. This is from Public Safety Consultants. Mr. Cronin is an experienced police department supervisor with the critical skills, knowledge, and abilities required of a Massachusetts police chief. He currently serves as a lieutenant with the Dike Police Department, where he has worked since 2006. While serving the town, he has worked in various supervisory capacities, to include his current assignment as police lieutenant. As lieutenant, he is the executive officer of the Police and Communications Department. In this capacity, Lieutenant Cronin's responsibilities range from managing department operations to writing and implementing department-wide policies. He is also knowledgeable and experienced in building and administering the approximate $2.2 million police and communications budget. Lieutenant Cronin grew up in and currently resides in Dayton, which affords him a unique insight into the town and the needs of the community. Lieutenant Cronin is knowledgeable with Massachusetts police reform legislation and has indicated that he would like to see the police department become an accredited agency. His professional presentation, command presence, and delivery of response indicate he possesses the professional attributes consistent with a Massachusetts police chief. The assessment team ranking for Mr. Cronin placed him in the highly well-qualified category. If chosen, PSC recommends that a seasoned police chief mentor Lieutenant Cronin as he transitions into this new role. This mentorship will assist the new chief in the broadening of his leadership and supervisory skills as they relate to police personnel and community policies outside of the current norm of the Dayton Police Department. PSC also recommends that as chief, he consistently participates in local, county, and state chief meetings and trainings. These types of meetings will provide the new chief with an opportunity to further his professional development within the law enforcement leadership community. It will also afford him the opportunity to learn from sharing administrative experiences with other chiefs that are in similar situations. We have asked Lieutenant Cronin to come before us this evening to be interviewed by the Board of Selectmen, who will then make a decision at their next meeting as to whether to hire Lieutenant Cronin or to post it outside of the department. At this time, Mr. Cronin, could you come up to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Good evening.
There are 16 questions that we have developed, and we will take them in rotation.
Sure.
It'll be myself, Mr. Pacheco. No, correction. Mr. Karen, sorry. And then Mr. Pacheco. My first question to you is, please begin by telling us about yourself. Why are you interested in becoming Dayton's next police chief?
So there's probably infinite reasons, but what sticks out is I've had the fortune of working with what I think are some of the best in not only the county, but the state and the country. And over the years, we've gone through quite a few things together. and I want to continue to build on what we're doing now. And I think that we're on a different path, given a lot of things happening in the country, and I want to see that through. So I take that responsibility on their behalf to see that through. As you read, I'm a lifer here. My kids are fifth generation to grow up on the same street as my family, so it's different, it's unique, and I took it for granted as a kid. I don't take it for granted now. So I'm vested in this community. I love this community, and this community's been very good to me, so I want to continue to be good to it.
Thank you. Mr. Karen?
Thanks. You're in a stressful situation tonight, but it's part of the job, I guess.
Yeah.
Given that a police chief heads the entire department, he or she is a public leader in our community. The chief should be fair, have high levels of integrity, and carry himself or herself in a way that sets example for and inspires. The police chief should also have superb leadership, communication, and collaboration skills. Do you have the qualities that you possess to help meet these expectations?
I do. I consider myself transformational. I also incorporate a coaching style to that. So recognizing what needs to happen and facilitating that are two different things. But I do believe I possess the ability to meld those two together to achieve the goals that we need to achieve as a community. It's not easy. Just like you said, it can be stressful. With leadership is sacrifice. There's quite a bit of sacrifice that's happened over the years, and not just for me, but for the officers that are here supporting me tonight. It's a way of life. It's not something that we take for granted. So every day we go out there and in our personal lives and our professional lives, and we know that we're being watched. So there is a lot of pride to it, and I respect them very much for doing what they do and continue to do what they do. And I'm proud to be right with them.
Thank you. Mr. Chief?
Lieutenant Cronin, I want to thank you for applying for this position. You've got some big shoes to fill. Chief McDonald's been in the force for 40 years. Is that correct? Actually, after how long were you chief, though? I'm going to ask 18. Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, good. But he spent a lot of years in town, so there's going to be a change in your department.
Sure.
I just want to thank you for applying.
Thank
You and I had an opportunity when I worked at the courthouse,
Yeah.
and you would come in and testify and provide evidence on different cases before the court, and I appreciate the great work that you did at that time.
Thank you.
So I know you may feel intimidated by the 16 questions. However, we did whittle it down from 72 questions. So we thought we'd like
That's
to be
good town efficiency.
Yes,
Good.
we wanted to be out of here by 11, so we thought we'd run down. So my question that I've been assigned is, tell us about your vision and priorities that you will bring to the town of Dayton's police department as our new police chief, and specifically, and this is no disrespect to the our current chief, but what will you do differently than, what are your plans? I know when I became chief in the courthouse, I changed things, so I'm sure you want to change some things. So what will you be doing differently?
So the good thing is the chief and I have a good relationship, and we've had a lot of good conversations about one of these things. The first thing that I would continue to work on is the culture within. It has changed, and since COVID, it's really forced us to change and be open to it. So really keep fostering that culture. I think right now, I think we have a pretty good thing going, and to keep it going is not easy. It takes work, but we have a great group to do it. So culture would be the first thing. Keep that going. Secondly, I just want to make sure that everybody's okay and feels okay with reform. It's a scary thing. Change is change. And the old saying, we don't know what we don't know, that's so true in this case. These guys go out every day and they don't know what they're going to expect. And now they have legislation hanging over that they're unsure of. That's the responsibility of leadership, to make sure that they're well informed and have an open line of communication with them. So there is no trepidation. There is no, or you lessen the stress when they're doing what they do. They got it hard enough. So doing that is would be a second priority. Third, Chief and I have started but is addressing and reviewing policy. Policies have to change regardless of organization where you work. So reviewing those, adopting new ones, drafting new ones. I think one of the biggest things within that is working with the district to ensure school safety. We need to make sure that we're all on board on that. We're all on that same path, and we align on what the plan is. God forbid anything does happen. So I would say culture, making sure they're okay with reform or understand reform, and policies with school safety kind of being the priority of that priority.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
What do you feel are the police department's greatest strengths?
Our people, honestly, not because they're here, not because I'm a part of it, but we have some great officers in this town. And I have to give Chief credit. He's made some recommendations over the years that have put us in the position that we're in. I like to think we are a very humble department. We take a very real approach to things. We understand that people go through life, just like we do. When we have to be firm, we're firm. But I like to think that the humility is kind of what these guys strive for, is just being human. So I think that's probably our biggest attribute, is just being real.
Thank you.
So
Mr. Cannon?
you come highly recommended, and you've kind of already answered this in a couple of ways, but what are the biggest challenges facing the police department today?
In general or us?
In general.
Quite a bit. You whittled it down to 16, so I'll keep it short.
Yep.
There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of perceptions. There's a lot of optics that are generalized, I think, negatively when they don't need to be, but it gets clicks and it gets reads. And overall, we're under the microscope every day, regardless if it's here, Boston, Washington, D.C., wherever it is. We're the most visible people out there. So you're always against the perception of what's really happening, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge. Is I'm not going to go down the media road because it does happen, but it's what we're doing out there that people see, and don't even give them a chance to spin it in a negative way. But that's unfortunately what I think our biggest challenge is just being looked at in a different light than I was used to when I first started this job.
What about the challenges facing the Dayton Police Department?
Specifically?
Yeah.
If I had to go down one road with that, I think I would like to engage our officers in more trauma-informed practices. We do have some programs in place, like, if we're in a serious incident, we do have a debriefing channel that we go down, but that's after the fact. Being aware of trauma-informed practices, I think helps us when we're on a call. I mean, who knows what some of these people have gone through in the last 2.5 years? And again, taking that human approach, when you don't always have to do what the law tells you can do, I think goes a lot further than being right, according to the law. So, training about, what kids are going through, families are going through, financial, economic issues. Those are all real things that people are experiencing every day, especially right now. So, giving them that training, I think, and not that they don't know it, but offering them that ability and that chance to delve more into to being more informed about trauma-based issues that could be happening. It's only going to make them better.
Thank you.
What do you see as your greatest strength, and conversely, what do you see as your greatest weakness?
I think my greatest strength is just being open to change, because that was my weakness. I kind of thought one way, I traveled down one road, and I said, well, that's the way it is, so that's the way it is. But as you get older and you mature and you go through things in life, I realize that you got to be open. You got to be open to change, open to different things, different opinions, and that rounds you out. And it grounds you at times too.
And once everybody is explained as the reason why there's change, I think then it's more understanding and they benefit from that.
Sure.
So it's important that they know why we're changing something.
Yeah, and that's part of continuing to build that culture and helping the understanding as to why. The why is always important, but there's a lot to this. There really is. It's a dynamic that changes really daily. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Collaboration between the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, Police and Fire Departments, the schools, and all town departments has always been an important focus in Dayton. Talk to us about how you would approach these efforts.
well, luckily, I think if I was given the opportunity, I'd be walking into a pretty solid foundation. I think that I've been afforded to attend meetings with the chief and been on calls and emails to see how that communication chain works. And it's actually pretty encouraging, actually. And you have to be. Everybody's got to be on board, especially in upper management and leadership. People have to know where things are, where things stand, what's happening, what didn't happen. So yeah, I think I'm fortunate that if, again, I am given the opportunity, I'm walking into a pretty solid structure.
Thank you. Mr. Karen?
How will you introduce yourself to the department and to a broader Dayton community as the new police chief? I think I'm more interested in the introducing yourself to the community. Obviously, the department knows you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And obviously, they don't know you as the police chief, but there's a lot of people out here who never have any interaction with the police department, which
Sure.
is fine.
Yeah.
They like it that way, and only when they need you, and they have confidence you're going to be there.
Yeah.
So how would you introduce yourself to just the public at large?
I'm a big believer in social media for the right reasons. And I think that using that platform is so important to be able to get things out there that you necessarily wouldn't be able to in person. People are busy.
Yeah.
People have commitments. People have things going on, hardships, life, games, meetings, work. So, I mean, the reality is that's how they can connect. Is when they sit down at night and they unwind, they can look at their screens. And, you know, that's not the only thing, but that would be, in my opinion, kind of a gateway into an introduction, is through social media.
As an internal candidate under consideration to become our next police chief, what do you see as your biggest personal challenge as you make this transition? How will these challenges relate to the department and its personnel?
It's a great question. I think personally, it's maintaining the relationship, the professional relationship that I think we do have and we've established with the officers. And it's maturity and maintaining maturity, understanding that we all have roles. We all have things that we need to get done. We all have responsibilities that have to get done. I answer to the chief. Chief answers up. So we're lucky in the sense that in a police department, you have that rank and file and you have that structure. But there's no question it could be a challenge moving from that into this sort of a role. But I would say just maintaining and helping to maintain the understanding of professionalism and responsibility within would be a good challenge, but I think a healthy one.
Thank you.
The town has been placing a significant priority on budget management, efficiency, and sustainability. And these efforts will require top attention by the next chief of police. Explain to us about the financial controls and efficiencies you would propose putting in place for the police department.
Well, that's a very relevant question. This was a big eye-opener for me in terms of budgets and management, especially towards the end of the year. As things came in and we recognized that we had a couple of shortfalls in certain areas. And the good thing is that we're not getting hurt by it. It's just more of a pride thing in seeing that we didn't catch a couple of things. But going forward, in talking with the chief, I think we need to centralize what we do as far as billing. We're lucky that we have a lot of people that are involved in things, but we need to centralize and have that go through one channel so that we're not playing catch up in the nth hour. For the most part, I think the chief has done a great job over the last 18 years with his budget. I don't believe you've ever had any issues. We've gone over, right?
He's smiling.
Yeah, no, so, yeah, so I just that, I think streamlining and making sure that everybody understands why,
Thank you. Mr. Karen?
I love this question as far as everybody gets asked it. Where do you see the police department in 5 years?
Well, it's hard to qualify that question in policing because we're not a production-based organization. We're not a performance-based, in terms of sales or marketing. We're not in that sort of a space. But the biggest thing really is to kind of echo what I said earlier, is just making sure that everybody continues to stay humble and understand that we're dealing with real life people in situations, and not to lose sight of that, not to lose sight of the fact that we do work for a community that supports us, and they always have, and I hope they always will. But keeping that and not losing that sense of what Dayton is, I think that's one of the major goals. There's a lot of other tools, I guess, that we can see on the horizon that we're approaching and we're talking about now as far as accountability and transparency. And that's all going to be industry standard. It's in terms of body cams and just overall evaluations and accountability. Those are all good things. But again, it's trepidation and change, and it's actually exciting to try to navigate through that. 5 years to me is like this. I look at my kids, 16 and 13, and all of a sudden they'll be gone. So everything is quick, but we don't have the ability to lay back and wait. We have to address it daily. So,
Assuming our population just grows minimally, do you see that there's enough officers on staff, or do you see 5 years from now we're going to have double what we have now?
So
not necessarily double.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the way things are trending, there's no question. I mean, I know there's some challenges coming up with other things and budgets, but yeah, we have to. In order for us to stay relevant, up to date, and being able to serve and being able to fill shifts accordingly, I really can't think of those numbers now because there are a few other things that could curtail that. Our SRO program's doing incredible. These guys are doing some really nice things with the youngsters of our town right now. I'd love to see more of that, but that also means reassignments. So patrol is the heart of any police department, and having people on the road and having members being able to respond obviously is the priority. So, of course, if we keep growing, we're at like 8,500 now in that ballpark.
81, yeah.
Yeah, as a kid, it was just about 5,000.
Right.
So it's definitely a big difference. And, the makeup of the department from when I remember seeing the chief in my second grade class Halloween safety presentation to now, it's a big difference. Big difference. We have, overall, there's a lot more full-time officers than when I even started. I got out of the academy, I was number 8, and we just put on, our number 14 just started last week in field training. So, yes, big difference in the last 15 years, but manageable, and yes, hopefully we do grow.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the answer that you just gave may be the same answer that, for this question here. The implementation of police reform, accountability, and accreditation efforts have been the focus of significant attention in the Commonwealth and within the department. What steps will you take as chief to continue leading those efforts?
Biggest thing is communication, making sure that everybody's aware of it. The worst thing that can happen in any organization is once that bad seed is dropped, all of a sudden it comes out on the other end like it's the worst thing in the world. So the chief's been very supportive of me attending meetings, being on Zooms, making sure that we're ahead of what's going on with the reform. And the biggest effect was with our reserve officers, and we're still seeing that effect now. We'll see it until 2027, and then after that, there is a hard cutoff of certain things. But communication's the biggest thing. If somebody doesn't understand something, they know they can come to me and they can ask, and we can figure it out together and find the right answer. So just being open about things.
Thank you.
Thank you. As the police chief, how will you evaluate the managerial efficiency and effectiveness of the Dayton Police Department?
So that's interesting. This is the first time that we've had 3 sergeants in quite some time. Sergeant Nichols is our senior sergeant in the back there. Sergeant McGovern and Sergeant McGann, all responsible for their shift. And I've conveyed the expectation to them of being able to manage their shifts, their officers, their personnel, and come to me with whatever they need. But really, it's empowering your supervisory staff and not having to do everything or having to have every single conversation. And by doing that, you give ownership and you give more accountability to others. Ultimately, they are responsible to one, but giving them that empowerment, I think, is very important.
Thank you. Mr. Karen?
You've kind of already answered this, but I'm interested in how you feel about the SRO and the comfort dog that we're getting. And it kind of goes with the answer that you're probably going to give. But can you talk about your vision for community policing? As chief, how would you lead and strengthen the community policing efforts in our community?
Yeah, I think the word that comes to mind right off the rip is kids. Kids are the connection to the community, and involving them, being able for them to be able to approach us, I think is huge. And I take myself as an example when I was a kid, going back to then Sergeant McDonald and Chief Sanson and Chucky Brown was a patrolman and plenty of others, but you could approach them, you could talk to them. And for some reason, something happened in the last, 5, 7, 8 years that there's a disconnect. So, kids are our future, no matter what it is. And having this comfort dog, especially with what they've gone through with COVID and, non-socialization and isolation, and even though it's a little thing, it's really not. It's a big thing. But it's another connection that we have. So events, I know, with the Junior Academy, that's incredibly successful right now. I wish everybody could see what's going on there because it's pretty special. And in fact, today I think they received 3 more calls to try to get some more kids into the next session, but we just don't have the room. Good problem to have. But again, just making sure that the community knows that we are available, and that we are open and we are approachable. Have a conversation. You don't like something, go ahead, say it. We're all human. Nobody does everything right. So just that understanding of humility is the biggest thing, to connect.
What is the age limit on the Junior Academy? It's not 71 years old. I'd be interested
Hey,
in doing
how old do you feel, though?
that. Sometimes I act like I'm 12, so.
Yeah.
Thank
There's
you.
always exceptions, I guess, right?
How will you assess job performance and motivating personnel at all levels of the organization?
So, motivation comes with culture, no question. I think if your culture is right, your motivation can at times go on autopilot. There's going to be corrections. One of the things these guys probably can't stand me saying is this this place isn't about one person. Every single person is important in the makeup. Every single person has a role to play. It's not about one, because one will lead the perception of all. So, again, the motivation should take care of itself for the most part if the culture's right. But we all go through ups and downs, especially in this job. We see some stuff that nobody should see, that nobody should experience. But that's what we sign up for, and that's why we put the boots on every day. So I think staying on top of that and recognizing that is hugely important for leadership, to make sure that your people are all right. Because if not, the public's not all right. So it's a big responsibility.
It is a big responsibility. Just being on the board for 4 years, I've seen some things that have really been tragic, and unfortunately, you guys are the ones that have to get involved in that, so you got to keep an eye on the people that you work, that
Definitely,
work with you.
definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Is there anything we missed or anything else you would like to share with us?
It's kind of surreal, to be honest with you. I was thinking today, I can't believe I'm actually having the opportunity to be up here to talk about this. So I do thank T.A. Mullen, Mr. Karen, Mr. Hull, Mr. Pacheco, Chief. Thank you. I got to thank my family, my wife especially. I can't imagine how hard it's been. And everybody I work with, everybody in this room, thank you. Even if you're not here for me, thank you for being here. No, it's really, it's humbling, really. And I know we've all worked hard towards building what we have, and I'd be honored to continue to drive that.
Thank you. The interview this evening was not only to help us in the selection process, but also so the community gets to see Sean Cronin and who he is, and what he's accomplished, and where he would like to see the department go in the future. Earlier this afternoon, President of the Patrolmen's Union, Officer Richards, came to myself and Mr. Mully and voiced complete support for your candidacy for the position. Also this evening, and he's present here this evening, Chief Chris McGee of the Fire Department said that he was totally endorsing your candidacy for this position.
Wow.
And as someone who will work very closely with you on EMS matters, that is important to all of us. At this time, I would like to call up Chief McDonald to speak on the recommendation before us of Lieutenant Cronin
Okay.
to fill
First of all, thank you.
Riddick's shoes.
I just want to say a few things. I thank the officers and whoever is here for his support, to be here for him. It's great you guys showed up. That's a big thing. Anyways, I just want to say a few things about him, okay? Lieutenant, when he became lieutenant, he basically, I don't want to say he didn't take over, but he was very supportive with me. He did made a lot of changes in the department. The comfort dog, the police procedures, the communications procedures. He got grants for the traffic safety and all that stuff. So he did a lot of things here. He's done a lot in this department since he became lieutenant. He works very good with me. He's very supportive of the department. He's very supportive of this town. He's very professional, okay? The guy is just over the top with that. He's very good. I would recommend him all day as a police chief in this town. He would be a great police chief, believe me, he would. So I'm gonna make a recommendation that the Board of Selectmen make Lieutenant Sean Cronin the next police chief in the town of Dayton.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Pacheco, do you have any closing remarks?
I just want to say that I'll be supporting you in a couple of weeks when we get to vote on you being our chief.
Thank you.
I've known you for a while. You come from a great family. You're a credit to your family, your parents.
Thank you.
So you have a great opportunity. So
Thank you very much.
good luck.
Mr. Karen?
Thank you for putting up with us tonight. And I gotta be honest with you, I didn't write the questions, but I thought some of them were great. And thanks, Bob, too, for making our job so much easier over all these years. Not that I've been a selectman that long, but just as a member in town. I'm sure there'll be some kind of ceremony when you go, but not everybody will be glad to see you go. But as Ken just said, good luck
Thank you.
in whatever happens.
Thank you.
I too will be supporting the recommendation. I just want to also let you know that this weekend I had an impromptu meeting with the superintendent of schools and with the leadership of the PTO, and they are very much looking forward to working with you with their security needs in the upcoming months.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Mr. Smith, could you come to the podium? Oh, I'm going to read the letter. Yes. A Dayton resident, Asher Wheeler, wrote a letter to the Board of Selectmen with a request. Hello, my name is Asher Wheeler. I am from North Dayton. I'm writing to you about the lack of entertainment and recreation programs that are available for older teenagers in Dayton. I feel this is an important issue because without adequate hangout space, most of the teenagers I see have nowhere to go and spend time with their friends. Without these adequate spaces, many teenagers stay home for hours at a time. According to the website youth.gov, research on after-school programming finds that the most effective activities adapt to individual and small group needs. Without listening to real teens in the area, we are left with no incentive for teens to go out and socialize with their friends. I have seen the very real consequences of this within myself and my brother. We have no places to hang out with our friends without our parents being around, which has prevented us from inviting them over. According to the National Leadership Council, Institute for Youth, Education and Families, having proper space for all the children and teens to properly socialize in a non-judgmental environment is key to their development. I think that you should create a recreation center for older children and teens. This will give us a space to hang out and have fun without being on the streets. Thank you for taking the time to read my letter, and I respectfully request a reply. After reading this, I have many thoughts on this issue. But I want to first give you an opportunity to respond. And as someone who has worked as a recreation director for over 10 years, I have some thoughts on this, but
It says Dear Board of Selectmen. It doesn't
Yes.
say Dear Parks and Rec. Asher? Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi.
Parks and Rec. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your letter. Nice to meet you.
thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Okay, so I read your letter as soon as Leanne from the office sent it over to me, and then I did some research myself, just so I could give you an educated response. But first, I just want to let you know, like from a Parks and Recreation perspective, we would love to expand programming for all ages. We don't want to discriminate against any age group. So from tiny tots to our elderly community, anything that we could do, we would absolutely be open to doing it. Where the problem lies with us is that we ourselves are a volunteer commission. So sometimes we get pulled in different directions just because this actually came up in a Facebook post about the playground, about the squeaky wheel getting the grease. And that's kind of what happens. So we get pulled in different directions, and one good example of that is we had a group of older residents from town who really were interested in pickleball. So they said, hey, can you put pickleball lines on the courts? And I said, yes, I'd love to do that for you. And it was a large group. And it took us a little while to get those pickleball lines done. So what they did is they said, hey, we're gonna come help you paint the pickleball lines. I said, awesome, let's get it done. Then they said, hey, we need more pickleball nets. I said, okay. I said, let me look at the budget and we'll vote on it. They're like, we're gonna fundraise. So the point I'm trying to make here, and one thing that you probably found in researching youth.gov, is that the best way to implement a change that you want to see is to get involved yourself. And I would, invite you to any of our Parks and Rec meetings. Like, we'll gladly listen to any ideas that you have to help bring more of those opportunities to the community. And if you have friends that, share similar interests that can give us those ideas, I think that would be the most helpful approach to address this. When I think about places to hang out, we in the spring, summer, fall, when we have good weather, we have an abundance of really great places that, it doesn't necessarily have to be a playground. Like, one of my favorite places in the whole town is Tricentennial Park on the corner of Pleasant and Water Street. It's just a kind of like, if you're looking for some place to just go sit and be with your friends and have conversations, it's probably like one of the most tranquil places in the whole town. Another place that's similar to that, as long as it's not near dusk because we get eaten alive by mosquitoes, is the Veterans Memorial Park on Lincoln Ave. Just a nice little waterside park with benches. So there are, as far as outdoors is concerned, I think there's a fair amount of places that you can go hang out. And then, but I do know that the winter can be challenging. So one thought that crossed my mind, and I think it's something that we can have a conversation with the Board of Selectmen and maybe the Council on Aging, is the use of prime time for maybe some teen programming. Because that building doesn't typically, we do have some meetings there, but outside of, the day-to-day operations, it's not used. So that could be one opportunity to look into. And then also another thing that I just did it today, well, not today, I did it last night. I went on, do you go to DR?
No, I go to
BP, okay. So I didn't look at probably BP is, I don't know what their programming looks like, but like for DR, for instance, I go on the website, I click on clubs, there's 2 clubs, it was like the yearbook and something else, and it was like so irrelevant that it's sad, because I have two little girls that are 11 and 6. It's like, oh, when you get there, like, you want to see that program. So it's like, sometimes too, don't be afraid to ask the school for more either. I know the principal from BP seems to just be, a gentleman who's genuinely interested in listening to the community and improving their programming. So that I would start with that as well. And then on the DR, kind of from a DR perspective, fortunately, our new superintendent seems like he's going to be phenomenal at making sure he hears and responds to what the community needs. So I think we're going to see a massive change from DR. I actually have 3 kids that work for me from BP, so I can do a little digging with them to find out what kind of programs are there. So it's like, but it'd be nice to not just rely on the school, but hopefully we can do something from a town perspective as well. I guess I was gonna throw out the joke of almost like a JFK quote. Is like, don't ask Dayton what Dayton can do for you, but what you can do for Dayton. Just reading some of the success stories, like I was telling you on youth.gov, is that's how I think that's how the change starts. Even for myself, I got so tired of how I kind of evolved into my Parks and Rec role. Is I got so tired of worrying about things out of my control. I was like, I want to be the change that I want to see. So that's how I get down to.
I'm laughing because that's what she says all the time.
Yeah, it's so true though. Like it starts with you. Have a conversation with a friend, get a friend involved, and then, like I said, we can exchange emails. I can keep you on my email list when we do have park meetings. I'd be more than happy to put you. You can just come and have a conversation with us. It doesn't even necessarily have to be an agenda item. We always have public input at our meetings. I'm always on Facebook telling people when the meetings are. Sometimes we get public input, sometimes we don't. Depends on what topics are coming up. but join us, bring friends with you, come have a conversation with us, and we'll see what we can do to kind of expand on what you're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
You're welcome.
Ms. Wheeler, although the three of us represent the entire community, we are not the community. What happens in this town is dictated by the interests and the will and the advocacy of the people in this town. Rachel Goulart, Sue Cody, and Kevin Smith do an incredible job. They are volunteers. They have expanded the program immensely already. It comes down to resources. And knowing those three, I'm sure they will take it as far as the resources and the interests of the people in town take it. They have at least meetings once a month. My suggestion to you is that you and some of your friends, with some adult chaperones or supervisors who are willing to take a little bit of ownership of it, come before Park and Rec with ideas and a proposal, and Mr. Smith will submit it to Mr. Mullen and the Board of Selectmen for funding. And if we can't fund it, we have businesses and a lot of very benevolent residents who are willing to help the youth financially to contribute to those projects. It's something that can be done. It's partly dreaming and definitely planning. Put your ideas together, get some friends on board, and meet with Mr. Smith. One thing, I don't know how well you know Mr. Smith, he is a champion of Park and Rec, the unified program that he and the special ed director at DR is happening because of their efforts. Pickleball has taken off because some people came to Mr. Smith and said, this is cool, can we try it? Can we run with it? And Kevin did, and it's really taken off. So my suggestion is get a committee together, a group of friends together, meet with Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith, when you have some plans, and come before us and submit a proposal, and we'll see what we can do for funding, or at least try to reach out to others to help to provide the funding.
Yeah, I mean, even just as far as youth programming, if we, you know, if we could formulate some sort of time to use prime time, I think we certainly, you know, could get, I met with a resident today, fix her air conditioner, and we talked about that playground, and we was talking about tonight, having to come to speak tonight, and she said right after that, she's like, yeah, I totally, like, if it was every other Monday night, I'd be happy to come volunteer, even if it was just, you know, to quote unquote supervise. Like if you just wanted free time to do your thing, but games, whatever, you know, happens, but just have, obviously, you know, in those situations, you'd always need adult supervision there to some extent. We won't eavesdrop, you guys can have your privacy. But I think, just like Lieutenant Cronin said earlier, like social media is your best friend in worst enemy at times. But we have the ability to reach out to people, and I think if we can get enough people on board, then we can get volunteers to start implementing some more programming that could come at no cost to us, other than maybe like if we need to supply something for you to do, whether it's games or you guys like to have a movie night, this TV, and you guys could have a movie, just have a team movie night. It could be as simple as that. So there's plenty of things that we'd be open and, to listen to. Throw like Chairman Hall said, throw ideas at me. I'll usually run with it. There's not too much that I won't try to get done for you, when you ask.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith, thank you. And the weekend efforts with the Firecracker Festival were outstanding, thank you.
Thank you all too for participating and for your help.
Sue and Rachel as well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something?
Could I?
Oh.
Sure.
I just want to say two things. How did the fundraiser go for pickleball?
So, the pickleball folks, they did a plant fundraiser, like a potting your own plant fundraiser at
Yeah.
Rehoboth. There was some personal donations from the group, and then another donation from the Lions Club. I think it totaled, I don't have the exact number, but I want to say it totaled about $525. So it was enough to facilitate the equipment that they need or were looking for.
Okay, good. And this is to Asher. It takes a lot of courage to write a letter and to come here this evening in front of everybody and be put on the spot. But my question to you is Lenny and Kevin said it best, and I don't want to rehash what they just said, but do you have an example of what you would actually like to happen? Not, I want a place to hang out, but, because he gave you a couple of ideas, but what item would you actually like to see?
Something that I have talked a lot about with, especially like with my friends and stuff like that, is like a specific recreation center or like a specific place with like games and specific events, like movie nights or something. Because currently there's not a lot of that even at school.
Right.
And like, I know for a fact that like my grandmother would be totally okay with like volunteering. We were talking about it. Getting a bunch of, especially like the older community, to help volunteer if they're okay with it, and just sort of have a place where there could be events held for specifically teenagers. Because currently a lot of the events that I see is mainly geared towards like the older generation or like the little kids.
Really young.
So I just really want to see something like specifically geared towards teenagers with like a movie that's maybe a PG-13 instead of like a PG movie.
Okay.
Or something. So.
Great, thank you.
Chief, oh, okay, thank you. Are there any further questions?
I wanted to speak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, you came up with a great idea. If we have the opportunity to use prime time, and I'm one of those older senior people that could volunteer to guide you people and supervise. But I did want to point out that our library director, Jocelyn Tavares, when we're looking at where our new library is going to be at the Smith Hall, she specifically asked for an area for teenagers, which is not something we've had in the past. We have an area for kids, young kids. We have obviously an area for adults. So I thought that was a great idea. Now, it's not going to be, unfortunately, it's a library, so you can't be joking, can't be laughing and that kind of stuff, but I thought that was a good idea. So I look forward to listening to what you have as far as ideas. I look forward to the Park and Recreation coming up with some ideas and something happen as a result of this. But I want to thank you. As Selectman Karen has said, it's not that easy to come before the Board of Selectmen, or I don't know why people are intimidated, but some people are. And to see a young person come in here and ask a specific question and request, I think it's great. So there is a future for our generation. I'm looking forward to. I have a lot of faith in the younger generation. So people like you. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, Mrs. Powell, Executive Director of Council on Aging, has a request for appointment of 3 positions.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first position is Primetime Council on Aging Program Manager. Please be advised that the Council on Aging Selection Committee conducted interviews for the vacant position for Program Manager for the Council on Aging Primetime Programming. Upon completion, it was voted to recommend Trista Tate of 1590 Wellington Street, Dike. Ms. Tate's query came back and she is suitable for employment with the Council on Aging. Ms. Tate's start date will be August 9th, 2022. Your prompt attention to this matter would be greatly appreciated. Should you have any questions or need additional information, please feel free to contact me. Mrs. Powell, based on this recommendation, would you care to comment about your observations of Miss Tate and how you feel she'll be able to help.
Well, Miss Tate currently works at a daycare, a medical daycare, so she has a lot of experience already with the type of atmosphere that we have at prime time, and she brings even more knowledge because it's a medical. So that can be transferred to us, not that we're medical, but it's even a little more than what we provide, and she can do that. And she's young, full of energy, wonderful personality, likable right away. And she does have management skills already from the position that she's holding, so she does already oversee staff members and works with already different organizations like different types of insurances and Bristol Elder Services and other organizations that I can't think of right now. So she was the most qualified applicant out of all of the 6 that we had for this position.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr.
I just
Chief.
want to comment, you have an excellent resume. Your experience in this field is going to help the town of Dayton, so I look forward to your appointment.
Mr. Karen?
I think it's a great move.
Yes, me too.
Thank you
Very
very much.
happy.
With that,
I'm happy. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm
with
happy.
that being said, I will entertain a motion to hire Trista Tate to the Council on Aging Primetime Program Manager position.
I'll make a motion to appoint Trista Tate as Council on Aging Primetime Program Manager effective August 9th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor, Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Congratulations, Ms. Tate.
Congratulations. Welcome.
The next position is for the the office assistant, primetime office assistant. Please be advised that the Council on Aging Selection Committee conducted interviews for the vacant position for office assistant for the Council on Aging Primetime Program. Upon completion, it was voted to recommend Catherine Lawrence of 485 Spring Street, North Dayton. Ms. Lawrence's query came back, and she is suitable for employment with the Council on Aging. Ms. Lawrence's start date will be August 9th, 2022. Your prompt attention to this matter would be greatly appreciated. Could you speak upon the recommendation of Catherine Lawrence?
So Catherine Lawrence was one of 2 applicants that applied for the part-time position, and the other applicant had applied to all 3, so I took her for that position. She is a kind person. She's very knowledgeable of the computer and running computer programs. She is only interested in working part-time, so we found that she was the best suited candidate for that position.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pacheco?
No, thank you for applying. Look forward to supporting you.
Mr. Karen?
Catherine, I have one question. What's a pest waste technician?
Oh,
Pet waste technician is basically waste from people jars, so I
Oh,
work for
okay.
a commercial company.
Yeah.
Calls, been there for a few months, so basically go around North Shore, Braintree, all over most sorts of Rhode Island, Tiverton border, Fall River, that area, just driving a commercial truck.
Sure. All right, thank you. I have no other questions.
No further questions. This time I'll entertain a motion for the appointment of Catherine E. Lawrence to the Council on Aging Primetime Office Assistant position.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen appoint Catherine Lawrence as Council on Aging Primetime Office Assistant effective August 9th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor, Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Congratulations and welcome aboard. Third position is a request to appoint Laura Medeiros as Council on Aging Office Manager. Please be be advised that the Council on Aging Selection Committee conducted interviews for the vacant position of Office Manager for the Council on Aging. Upon completion, it was voted to recommend Laura Medeiros, 1645 Maple Street, North Dayton. Ms. Medeiros' Corey came back, and she is suitable for employment with the Council on Aging with a start date of August 2nd, 2022. Your prompt attention to this matter would be greatly appreciated. Ms. Powell?
So Ms. Medeiros is a huge asset to us because she is technology set way even more than I am, and I thought I was. And as you know, everybody already knows her and loves her, and so I think she's going to be great. Her personality is friendly and outgoing. I think she's going to fit the job perfect. I'm calling her the new Bella 2.0, the new Bella 2.0. That's what she's going to be great with all of the the newsletters and all that stuff that she has such experience in. When I stepped into the job, I didn't have that much experience with the media stuff, and so she's a huge asset. I'm very excited to have her also.
Thank you.
I only have one question for Ms. Medeiros. Do you play the ukulele?
Yes, I play the ukulele.
Oh,
Good.
yes, she
It's a
did.
bonus.
Very mediocrely.
Hey, you didn't put that on your resume.
Mr. Camp?
I think you've made three wise choices,
Thank you.
and great job.
It wasn't done just by myself.
I know that, and
Okay.
it takes a lot of work.
Yes, it
to
took a whole
interview,
month
and
of work.
it's, time-consuming as well as personally draining.
The whole month of June
Sure.
was taking care of this, but I'm so happy that we've done with this step, and I'm looking forward to the next step, which is bringing the girls in, training them, and opening up our daycare.
Sure. Good luck, ladies. Thank you.
Ms. Medeiros, I've had the opportunity of working with you, although briefly at the meetings, and see how dedicated you are, and that's deeply appreciated. And I want to thank you for showing interest to expand even to more roles. Will you continue on with the Cable Commission?
I will.
Awesome.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
And Ms. Powell,
Yes,
since you've taken over, you've done an excellent job.
thank
And the
you.
very fact that you have 3 holes to fill, you have been quite busy, I would see, not just the last month, but since coming on board.
I
Thank you
have,
for those
and
efforts.
this is a big relief right here for me.
I'm sure it is.
Yes, and I'm very happy. And I want to thank Mr. Mullen for all his support, and the board members also. COA board members have been very good to me in guiding me. Thank you.
Welcome. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Laura Medeiros to the position of Council on Aging Office Manager.
I'll probably make a motion to appoint, that the Board of Selectmen appoint Laura Medeiros as the Council on Aging Office Manager effective August 2nd, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Ms. Medeiros, congratulations and welcome aboard. The next item on the agenda is public input. Public input is set up or placed on the agenda to discuss issues that are pertinent to town business. We allow for 5 minutes of speaking time. However, I must caution anyone in public input that unruly behavior or speech could result in the chairman suspending your involvement. Any department head or department staff member who has issues that are of department nature it is highly recommended that they be placed on the agenda as a discussion item, a regular scheduled discussion item. With that being said, is there anyone who has anything for public input? No? Okay, thank you.
Nobody on Zoom?
No, I don't see anyone on Zoom who raised their hand or wishes to speak. Okay. Announcements?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Town of Dayton Food Bank distribution will be held next on July 16, 2022, this coming Saturday, located at Town Hall, 979 Somerset Avenue, the lower level. The 43rd Pan Am Challenge will take place on August 6th and 7th. Please support your friends with a donation, as this event represents over 64% of the Jimmy Fund's annual revenue. Dayton Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day, Saturday, August 27, 2022, will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Dayton Transfer Station, 865 Tremont Street. Proof of residency is required.
Thank you very much. Are there any further announcements?
That is it.
Okay, Town Administrator's Report.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have two really quick updates this evening. One is on the town accountant posting process. As we know, at the end of last month, we received the resignation from town accountant Vining. Her last day with the town, other than like interim transition services she's going to be providing for us, and working with us, likely a few hours a week, will be July 19th. So that is this coming Tuesday. So we over the last few weeks we have posted the position. We have posted the position with the Mass Municipal Association. We've also posted it with the Massachusetts Municipal Auditors and Accountant Association as well. That is the trade and industry professional association for town accountants as well. So we're trying to do everything we can to recruit. I've been on the phone. I've been trying to recruit folks who are in my network, who I know of, who I know of, who I've heard of, and who I know, has an interest in growing, who I know has an interest in growing and developing their career. At this point, we do have a handful of applicants, and we're gonna give those applicants a first look after July 18th, which is on Monday. So hopefully at the next meeting we will have hopefully a better idea of the direction we're gonna go in. But we may at this point need to consider the interim transition services. I have been having an ongoing discussion with the current town accountant and with the town treasurer, and we're working on that process now. We're actually having a follow-up meeting on that tomorrow. So likely at the board's next meeting, on the 27th, I will likely have a recommendation on transition services as well, that fit into our budget. So this is an important position. We have a lot, actually riding on it and planned forward as well. So we're taking this really seriously at this point, trying to recruit, and trying to plan. I'm trying to plan for the transition that we know we have now. Are there any questions on that part of it so far?
What's a handful? 2, 3?
Right now, in total applicants, we have about 4 or 5.
Okay.
But then we have to screen through them as well.
Right.
So we have about 4 or 5 now, but once we screen through, that number could really change.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk.
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you.
You're good. Mr. Pacheco, any questions?
Okay, thank you. The last update I have is last Thursday morning, Selectman Pacheco, Building Commissioner Aguirre, and other town officials, we met, town council Matt Costa as well. We met, with the attorneys and officials from from Father's House Family Church. Can we do at this point have a closing date on 207 Main Street, scheduled for July 28th? So that means also at our next meeting, on July 27th, we will have all the closing documents, and all the approvals for execution for the board as well. So this, the other thing that we were relying on happening, which has, as of the end of last week, we have received the second tranche of the ARPA funding, which we needed to close on the deal, in the amount of $416,000. We received that, I believe, through the town treasurer. That was why at the end of last week, I believe, right, Paul? Yes. So, we should be all set there. So all lights are go for closing. And we'll have all the closing docs. In the occupancy agreement that was envisioned in the PNS as well. I will have all those documents for the board for consideration and approval on July 27th as well. So that project is really exciting. Did I miss anything, Selectman Pacheco? Did I?
No, you didn't, no.
Okay. So that is all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Under old business, any additional? Selectmen's reports. Mr. Pacheco?
Yeah, I met with the Agricultural Commission Subcommittee. They're coming up with recommendations for livestock in the town of Dayton, and they'll probably be voting on something at their next meeting that's coming up. I want to say it's July 19th. It's just recommendations to the residents in town as to what's required or what's expected of them for if they have livestock, chickens, pigs, whatever. So I think it's a good direction that the Agricultural Commission is going in. And I met with the Historical Commission this past yesterday, so it's pretty quick. And they had a very good meeting. We're going to be presenting, Rafa's not here now, but we're going to be presenting the Boston Post-Cane on August 1st to Dorothy Perry and at 6 o'clock in this room here. And it's my understanding that the Board of Selectmen's been asked to attend, as well as any official in town.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. And as you know, Mrs. Sylvia passed away, who had the Boston Post cane, so now we have a new person. And we also discussed the possibility of going out and hiring someone to do the survey for about 90 houses in North Dayton as far as their historical value. So they're moving right along on that. As you know, CPC granted, residents approved $25,000 for that survey, so.
Thank you. Mr. Cameron?
I met with the open space, and in a nutshell, they decided to postpone it until first part of September.
Oh.
We met in all of a matter of minutes, just to say it was summer and nothing was going to happen in August, so we would postpone everything until September. We also met with, well, I did not attend. I gotta be honest with you, I forgot all about the meeting, which was solid waste, which I was hoping Mike could bring me up to date on what happened.
So, I was also absent from that meeting as well.
Okay.
But what I've heard is that the committee discussed and approved a mission statement.
Yep.
And I believe the next meeting, is tentatively scheduled for August 3rd. But there has been talk about the possibility about having a meeting in the meantime as well. So that will be determined at this point.
One of the things that was discussed at the first meeting, not off the record, but somebody brought up opening in the transfer station on Sundays. And it's not something that I was immediately in favor of, because I think it would just water down Saturday and Tuesdays, that the town wouldn't see a benefit, but there would be an actual cost of time and a half. I don't know if it went anywhere on this particular meeting, but.
No, not that I understand.
Brought up again.
So no, one of the things like relating to the transfer station, the hours of operation there, but also about the cost to really accept
Right.
the mattresses, and the other things that have always been accepted by the transfer station. Is the fact that accepting those things now, based on what the market prices is for a mattress, just as an example, is $90 at the end of May to accept a mattress, but we as a town only charge $15. So like we're in the business of providing a service, but we also have to be sustainable as well. Based on the global market issues that are causing these increases, one of the big focuses in the very short term, because the $90 fee to the $15 collection fee, is really has the potential to blow a hole, in our FY23 budget pretty quickly. So grappling with, how we deal with these issues in the very, very short term, is gonna be a key priority. It may mean changes, it may mean proposed fee increases, because we as a town, in my opinion, don't have the ability to absorb the $75 difference that is inherent now. So yeah, we have a lot of things on our plate in the very, very short-term meeting, really the next month and a half, that we need to solve so we don't have, a big gap, frankly, in our budget.
I think it's one thing to offer a service to the town. Maybe we charge $10 and it costs us $15. That's one thing, but such a large discrepancy in mattresses, which is, and I don't know what the answer is, because you're gonna have them dumped on the side of the road if somebody has to pay $90, but we also can't continue, like Mike said, spend $75. There's gonna be a go-between.
Solid waste. They clearly understand that they work under the budget of the Board of Health. Is that,
Oh, yes, that is understood.
so
Yes.
it's not the Board of Selectmen or
No.
the town per se, that they have a budget, they were given X amount of dollars, and they have to make it work. Okay, thank you.
That's it.
May I speak on it? I think that we should increase the fee. I don't think we ought to increase it to $90. I do believe it's a service, and I agree with Selectman Karen that we do charge $90. They're gonna be on the side of the road,
Right.
which is gonna cost the town anyway. So I think a reasonable fee, more than the $15, is something we ought to consider. I'd be interested in listen to a recommendation from the Solid Waste Committee.
Thank you. Three groups that I'd like to speak on. First, as I alluded to, speaking about Lieutenant Cronin, the new superintendent, Bill Rooney, and the Dayton Elementary, Dayton Middle School PTO has been working on, and with Lieutenant Cronin, and I'm not sure, Chief, have you been a part of the discussions about the school security plan that Mr. Rooney and the school committee is developing?
An email today that the school wants to have a meeting, I can't remember the date, I think it's July. I talked to TA today about it. Was it July
26, I believe?
20, let me check just to make sure. I know it was that it was either 27th, 29th, that they wanted to meet with us, meaning me, myself, Lieutenant Cronin, about upcoming year of security and different things, what we can do to help their new year. So, yeah, I got that email today, so I forwarded it to Mike, and he wasn't sure if that was something that town administrator, board of selectmen should be present on that. I don't know
I
if
would
that's
like,
something you
as
guys.
liaison, I would like to, if that's possible. I know it was an impromptu meeting with the leadership of the PTO. It went very well. Mr. Rooney and we've spoken on multiple occasions. He will be coming before the Board of Selectmen in August with some recommendations regarding his security plan. And also, he is going to introduce the new elementary, the new middle school, and the new high school principal to the Board of Selectmen and people of Dayton. In light of recent developments across the country, there is certainly a need to take a look at security. Dayton, although a small community, is not immune to the problems that this entire nation is facing. And eternal vigilance is certainly the price of peace. Yes?
I'm sorry, Bob.
No.
Yeah, it's July 26th, it's a Tuesday. They're having a meeting, school committee, it looks like a public session, special public session on Tuesday, July 26th. They're looking for, if we could attend that.
Awesome, we will be there. Thank you. Regarding the Dayton Industrial Development Commission, something we're very, very excited about. On September 21st, at the Bristol Agricultural School from 6 to 8 p.m., they are having a business expo with both the town of Dayton and Berkeley coming together, reaching out and inviting businesses to make presentations about what they have and looking for help, and also prospective businesses to come to this expo looking to see what Dayton and Berkeley has to offer in regards to tax relief, land, and the zoning and availability to expand into Dayton and Berkeley. We're also inviting realtors and prospective development realtors to come to this, to not only see what Dayton has to offer, but also so we can pick their brain and to see what their feelings are about how we as a town can grow so that it is manageable and has a positive impact on the taxpayers. And that's the important part. We get too caught up in house development without impact fees. The amount of services needed for those people will drive our tax rate up. So there's definitely a major need for industrial development in this town. And the Dayton Industrial Development Commission has a couple serious irons in the fire. One, as we mentioned before, has to deal with a out-of-state developer who has some ideas about developing industry along the river, working with Shaw's Boatyard. And my understanding is that they've had preliminary discussions with Town Administrator Mullen as well as with the Planning Board. And the last Monday of this month, there is a very exciting meeting as two potential developers are going to come before the Dayton Industrial Development Commission to discuss the potential of an industrial park in Dike. So
Can we all attend, or is, because we're selectmen?
you
can't
can
have,
attend. If,
uh,
what we can
two-
do is if we need to, we know ahead of time, we can post it.
Okay.
I think if you'd like to participate,
Yes,
we should post it as a joint meeting. They will have no problem with that. They've done some really wonderful things in the short period of time that they have been organized, and having Jonathan Geggett from the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce as a member has been a major, major addition. And later this evening, actually, we appointed her last meeting. Oh, no, we'll be appointing this evening, requesting to appoint Darlene Arujo to the Dayton Industrial Development Commission to represent the farming community. And we will be working very closely with her for plan growth in that area. And also, we are very cognizant that there are large farms in this community that are run by elderly people who may, in the near future, sell off their land to developers. So we're going to try to get out ahead on that and to work with them so they might be able to work with us so that their needs are met, but it does not impact the town adversely.
What's the date of the expo again?
The expo will be September 21st at the Bristol Agricultural School from 6 to 8 p.m. And Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Karen, if you're interested in attending, I think it would be wise to pass on word to Mr. Mullins so he can post it as a joint meeting.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, like, and there'll be official invitations and everything that'll be forthcoming as well, that'll be sent out by the chamber.
Yes. The last item was the Water District. Reminder that water restrictions are in place and should be followed, and letters of warning and progressive discipline will be in place. The needs of the Water District are improving. There is work being done on the Cedar Street well. They have initiated the purchase of the well on Brook Street from the town of Somerset. It was approved by the voters of the district at their annual meeting, and the commission has approved it. We are just waiting for final approval from the town of Somerset, and then that well will be ours again. The other thing that the Water District wanted to stress, and it's been an ongoing struggle with them, they are strongly urging residents of the town who receive letters from them, whether it be estimated bills or the need to replace meters or units in the meters, that they kindly contact the Water District in a timely fashion so an appointment can be set up to complete the work that is needed. Thank you. Under new business, Mr. Mullen, the engagement of Town Labor Council, Clifford and Kenny LLP.
Yeah, one of the issues that has been a dominating force in local government and municipal government has been the labor and employment issues that we deal with like really on a daily basis. You know, like, and though and though I like to think and that I have a really good handle on that. Miss Brady, who is now our HR coordinator, has a really good handle on those issues. There's some issues that have really happened in recent years, where I believe if we had dedicated labor council, we could, have had, we could have had a different result. In one, in the recommendation I'm making before you tonight, is for the town, is for the town of Dayton through the board, to engage dedicated labor counsel from Clifford and Kenny. I've worked with them in the past. They're like a very proactive firm. Who pledge and pride themselves. Who pledge and pride themselves really on working with local officials and employees before an issue gets out of control. And I see the need on a few issues. We have CBA issues we address on a regular basis. We have grievance issues. We have other claims that we have to address on a pretty regular basis as well. And I think having dedicated counsel, who specialize in labor and employment issues will be a huge help. With that, I make the recommendation I provided. Actually, an engagement letter that really talks about the experience of the firm, along with the PowerPoint that really goes through the value of having dedicated labor counsel. So, if you have any issues, questions, concerns, I'm happy to entertain to answer them.
Mr. Pacheco?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just want to, as we know, we had to hire attorney Jamie Kenny
Yes.
on a case, and I thought she was very helpful. And I've also spoke to a selectman in Rehoboth, and they had to use also this firm, and they were impressed with the quality of their work. So she did an excellent job for the town, and sounds like something that we should do.
Mr. Camp?
I don't know them, but if I recommend them, I think it's sufficient for me.
Thank you. My experience with them, as Mr. Pacheco just mentioned, was with the previous case, and I was very happy with the quality of their work. And also in speaking with the Board of Selectmen in Rehoboth, they had great raves about this law firm, and they helped them through a very difficult situation recently. So I would strongly support the recommendation. At this time, I will entertain a motion to engage Town Labor Council Clifford and Kenny LLP for the town of Dayton.
I'll make a motion that we engage Town Labor Council Clifford and Kenny LLP.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor? Ms. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Community Preservation Committee Administrative Clerk job description. We've had the opportunity in our packet. There was a resignation of the CPC Administrative Clerk, and interviews will soon be taking place, posting for this position. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Karen?
No, sir.
Actually, Mr. Mullen, I do have one.
Yes.
I understand that we're opening this position up to the clerical union, and I support that.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is the way this is worded.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose in the future, if we need to refill this position,
Yes.
and no one from the clerical union express an interest, what would we do?
We would at that point need to revise the job description to be a non-union affiliated position at that point. So we have three potential applicants, like within the clerical union, like who work less than the 35 hours a week. So practically speaking, if none of those three applicants are interested, then we would have to then I would have to come back before the board to change the job description as proposed, to have the position be a non-union affiliated position.
Now, in my discussions with Thomas Borquin, who is the chairman of CPC, time is of the essence in filling this position.
Yes.
So I'm not recommending we make any changes to what is currently presented for a vote this evening. But should this need happen down the road, maybe we can take a look at rewording this a bit,
Yes.
stating that in case there is no one in the clerical union who has shown an interest, that we may post it outside the union.
So yeah, to that point, I thinking if the board agrees that you direct me to add language to that effect to the current posting, then the job description itself, the job description, will be all encompassing from the beginning. So we would begin with the clerical union. Then if we don't have the applicants, we can move right in to a non-union application process without having to come back before the board. So like if the board desires, I can add that in based on direction.
Would my colleagues be amendable to amending this job description and voting on it this evening?
That's fine.
But the union members will have the first opportunity.
Yes.
And if we don't get any interest, then we're going to go out. Yep.
Yes.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the Community Preservation Committee Administrative Job Clerk description as amended.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor, Ms. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Thank you. Next on the request to appoint John Lawrence to the Cable Commission. We have a letter from David Marvel of the Cable Commission. It is with great pleasure that the Cable Commission voted unanimously last Wednesday to accept Jonathan Lawrence to the Cable Committee. The Board of Selectmen will need to appoint you to that committee to complete this process. The next time that the Board of Selectmen will meet will be tonight, July 13th, at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. At this time, are there any questions about the appointment of Jonathan to the Cable Committee?
I have no questions.
No.
I will entertain a motion to appoint Jonathan Lawrence to the Cable Committee.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen appoint Jonathan Lawrence to the Cable Committee.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor? Ms. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Ms. Lawrence, welcome aboard. Request to appoint Matt Tanis as Assistant Health Agent. At the Board of Health meeting on Thursday, June 16th, the board voted unanimously to recommend to the Board of Selectmen the appointment of Matt Tanis as the Assistant Health Agent. Before we vote on this, Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
could you clarify what this position entails?
Yes, the assistant health agent position is, is a very minimal position. It is very less than part-time position. Like in the current FY23 budget, the assistant health agent line is funded at is funded at $525, and that, that is funded to really fill in, for the health agent when the health agent is on vacation. So what the roughly, $525 roughly anticipates, is that in the course of a fiscal year, based on the health agent's vacation and time off, which he's entitled to, the $525, at $35 an hour, like roughly anticipates 20 hours a year. It's not anything over that. It is not a full-time position. It has no benefits. And we draw on someone, who does have experience in this area as well.
Yes, I might add that the position of health agent is governed by the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You have to be certified to have this position. With it come certain duties and responsibilities. And without Todd being present and not having a certified health agent, it does leave the town open to liability. Mr. Tanis has served as a member of the Board of Selectmen. He has served as a member of the Dayton Board of Health, and he is also a certified health agent. So I would strongly recommend his appointment to this position this evening. Are there any further?
Yeah, my question is, I mean, our Board of Health agent is entitled to 3 or 4 weeks vacation, so, but this is gonna be as needed, so.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
taking next week off. Matt, can you cover me? I have something to do at 2 o'clock on Thursday, that kind of thing, because $525 is not gonna go.
Yeah, like he won't be he won't be filling in the whole day for the health agent, but but if there's an appointment that can't be rescheduled, if there's an inspection that has to be done, if there's a public safety event that requires a response, that's where the 20 hours would go.
Thank you.
And that recently happened, and we didn't have someone to cover for him. He was not, the fire department was not able to reach Todd, and that created some issues that made it very clear that we need to fill this position.
Thank you.
Anytime there is a public emergency that involves the health agent making a determination, that can only be done by the health agent, not by other members of the Board of Health. Are there any further questions? I will entertain a motion to appoint Matt Tanis as the Assistant Health Agent.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Thank you. The next two, review, discuss, and act on a change request by the Development and Industrial Committee for rewording in regards to a member appointment. This letter is addressed to the Board of Selectmen from Daniel Higgins, Chairman of the Dayton Industrial Development Commission. The Dayton Development Industrial Commission is requesting that the Board of Selectmen approve changing the commission's membership from including a member to represent the Bristol County Agricultural School to be changed instead to include a member to represent the Dayton farming community. And I might add, the Aggie School had originally given us a member, and that person resigned. And we've reached out to them several times, and they haven't been able to provide us with someone. We also are aware that Bristol Aggie is having some changes in leadership with the leaving of their current superintendent. So in order to fulfill the needs of the Dayton community, especially the farming community, the Dayton Development Commission asked that we change it from a member of Bristol Aggie School to someone from the Dayton farming community, keeping in mind that the agricultural school and their extension services are more than willing to help us in educational training for individual farmers or in general general farming community, or to give us advice on farming issues that come before the Dayton Industrial Development Commission. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to change the commission's membership requirement from a representative of the Bristol County Agricultural School to read a representative of the Dayton farming community.
I so move.
Mr. Karen, motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. The second part of their request is to appoint Darlene Arujo as a member of the Dayton Development and Industrial Commission as a representative of the Dayton farming community. As we're all well aware, the Arujo family has been a major part of not only the farming community, but in many civic projects with this town. And Ms. Arujo attended our last meeting and already has made some wonderful suggestions to the Industrial Commission. With that said, Mr. Pacheco, any?
Nope, I'm ready to make a motion.
Mr. Karen?
I think it's a great addition.
Oh, great. Mr. Pacheco, I'll entertain your motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Darlene Arujo to the Development and Industrial Commission.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor, Ms. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Thank you. Review, discuss, and act the proposed appointment of Jane Seven to the Board of Registrars. Letter from Town Clerk Mark Pacheco. The Board of Registers has a vacancy per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 51, Section 15. Both leading political parties were sent a letter. I might add, that letter was tracked, with 45 days to respond with a list to be considered for appointment. This board is crucial to the day-to-day functions of the town clerk's office in regards to elections. The two leading political parties both were written to solicit names, and neither one responded within the 45-day time frame. Therefore, the Board of Selectmen can appoint without reference to any lists. The appointment can be either a member of the Democratic or Republican Party, as we currently have one Democratic member and one Republican member on the Board of Registrars. I am also on the Board of Registrars, and I am unenrolled. The town clerk is the only member who does not have to be enrolled in a political party. I am asking the Board of Selectmen to please advertise for this position and fill it as soon as possible. Please consult with my office prior to any appointments, as the candidates must have maintained their enrollment status in the party for 2 consecutive years. We would need to confirm this prior to your appointment. In my opinion, the appointment should fulfill the unexpired term through June 30th, 2023, and receive an annual stipend in the amount of $75 to be paid in 2 payments of $37.50. Please see the attached packet, which will answer any questions you may have in regards to the position. In accordance to Mass General Law, Chapter 51, Section 15, I hereby request submission of 3 names from the Dayton Republican Town Committee for vacancy on the Board of Registrars. This vacancy has occurred due to the resignation of Susan Lawrence, whose term will expire on June 30th, 2023. Registrars must meet the following qualifications. Must be registered voter in the city or town where appointed, unless regularly employed by the registrar's office. Mass General Law, Chapter 51, Section 25. Must hold no other office in the city or town where he or she is a registrar, either by election or by direct appointment by the mayor, selectman, or city town manager, or hold an office by election or appointment under the government of the United States or the Commonwealth, except for towns with less than 2,000 residents. Mass General Law, Chapter 51, Section 25. And must subscribe an oath to faithfully perform the duties of registrar, as put forth by Mass General Law, Chapter 51, Section 23. No later than 45 days of receipt of this letter, please forward these names to the attention of Karen Brady, Board of Selectmen. The Board of Registers will convene to interview the candidates. In addition, please have the candidates fill out the enclosed form and enclose a copy of the resume. This letter was also sent to the Dayton Democratic Town Committee Chairman, and it was also, as you see in the packet, sent by USPS Tracking. With that being said, Mr. Pacheco has informed us that there were 2 candidates who submitted the required information to Ms. Brady, and that was forwarded to Mr. Pacheco. The 2 candidates were Carrie Ann Millette of 12 Summer Street and Mr. James 7 of Main Street. Upon review, it was determined that Ms. Carrie Ann Millette was ineligible because she had not officially enrolled as a member of the Republican Party. And since there was no applicant from the Democratic Party, Mr. Pacheco is recommending the appointment of Mr. James 7. And he has acknowledged the fact that he has been a registered Republican for at least 2 years. Are there any questions in regards to this appointment?
I don't have any.
With that being said, I will I will entertain a motion to appoint James 7 to the Registrar of Voters.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Pacheco, aye. Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Howell is an aye. Mr. 7, thank you and welcome aboard.
Don't spend all that money at one time.
You know, your role is one of, as arbitrator. And although you're not called upon often to make rulings, when you do, your decision will greatly affect the town. So thank you for taking on that responsibility. Thank you. Review, discuss, and act proposal fiscal year 2022 year-end interdepartmental transfers. Mr. Mullen, do you have anything that you would like to?
Yes, so, coming and being presented before you this evening are 5 additional transfer requests. We actually met with the FinCom, this past Monday night, where they reviewed and approved, the proposed request as well. When we met, in the last part of June, we were hoping to address all the transfers, have them all complete then. But as we closed out and worked to close out fiscal year 22, we have we have learned of the need, for 5 additional transfers, and I can review them as we go forward as well. The first one is a proposed, $339.55 transfer in the Conservation Commission budget. And this would be a transfer, this would be like inter-department transfer between the Concom expense budget, like in their personnel line. Like we had the 339.55 represents FLSA requirements the way we have in FY22 budgeted the conservation agent education stipend that is actually included in her base wage. So then any additional comp or overtime hours she earns, those that education stipend rate, because it's in like it's also in like her overtime rate essentially, like it did bring her personnel budget like up to about $340 over what it was initially budgeted. So that is the first transfer that's being proposed, Mr. Chairman and members of the board.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to accept the transfer?
I'll make a motion to, for the Department of Conservation Commission, we transfer $339.59 from the appropriation of other supplies 010-0-171-0000-70-5580 to the Conservation Commission, $339.55 to the appropriation line of Conservation Agent. Account number, appropriation number is 010-0-171-0000-50-5105.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye.
Thank you, members of the board. The next proposed transfer we have, is relating to a $9.43 discrepancy, like in the Medicare contribution line. This is just a very, very, very technical, your deficit really, like in the Medicare contribution line, and we're proposing to close out that $9.43 through the town meeting account.
Thank you. Ms. Pacheco, any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Karen? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to transfer town meetings $9.43 from the off-duty police details account number 010-0-113-0000-70-5301 to the employer contributions, benefits Medicare contributions, account 010-916-0000-70-5176.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Ms. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Next, fire department transfer.
The next transfer relates, is actually like another inter-department transfer, between the fire department, the fire department professional and technical line, and the fire department and your ambulance payroll line, in the amount of $6,362.52. We knew as we started seeing the trends, in FY22, that this budgeted amount would be close, as we sought to close out the end of the year. The overtime funding and the call funding is really largely left to chance, like we try to base it on trends every year, but sometimes the trends based on happenstance. Oh, you know, I mean, it does evolve and change. We were actually in a good place to close, until the Elm Street fire a few weeks ago. And the resources that fire really took to address it, unfortunately brought the fire department over and above those budgeted amounts. So, we do now need to close out the fire payroll, both in the full-time line and in the call line, a transfer in the amount of $6,362.52.
Are there any questions?
I don't have any.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. I will entertain a motion to transfer from the ambulance payroll account, number 010-0-231-0000-50-5106, and also from professional and technical account 010-220-00-70-5300, a total sum of $6,362.52 to be transferred to the fire payroll account, number 010-220-0000-50-5132, the sum of $3,736.98, and also to fire payroll account 010-220-0000-50-5132, the amount of $2,625.54, for a grand total of $6,362.52.
I so move.
Do I have a second?
How did we come off so much money, though? I understand the fire, but there was that much money extra in the fire department payroll?
No, like in the ambulance payroll, we have had attrition this year. We in both the fire, in the ambulance side of the budget, but we had two very long-time members of the fire department retire. And one was unanticipated. Those retirements happened in January, and so the difference in their rates, as compared to the personnel who filled those positions, that's where we saw the breakage.
Okay, then I second that motion.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Next, a transfer from the police department. Mr. Mullen?
Yes. So we do have a proposed $24,952, 51-cent proposed transfer. It's an internal transfer within the PD budget, from the personnel line into the expense lines, into various expense lines. We did, in FY22, have increased unanticipated fuel costs. We also had to run, we had to run a series of assessment centers. Also in FY22 this past March, for the promotion of the two sergeants. We also, based on the new hires, especially relating to uniforms, we did have one-time new personnel equipment expenses. We do provide we do provide our personnel with a uniform allowance, but we're also we're also obligated to fund a certain, certain officer equipment needs that we had to buy as well. And then we did have an additional, as part of that, in addition to all that, we did have an additional $3,000 in costs for the chief of police transition planning efforts as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I don't have any.
Ms. Karen? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to transfer from the police salary full-time officers account a sum of $24,952.51. Account number 010-210-000-50-5106 to police account gasoline and diesel fuel, the sum of $11,850.89 to gasoline and diesel fuel, account number 010-210-000-70-5481. Uniform allowance, account number 010-210-000-70-5152, the sum of $4,227.34. And to professional technical, account number 010-210-0000-70-5300, the sum of $8,894.28, for a grand total transfer of $24,952.51.
I so move.
Mr. Karen?
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. And the last transfer for the town clerk's office for salary checker and other personnel expenses. Mr. Mullen?
Yes, so the cause for this transfer is twofold. Number one,
Thank you, Bob.
at the beginning of FY '22, there was a split week. So half of that week happened in FY '22, and half of that week happened in FY '21. That when the town clerk's budget was done in the winter of 2021, that expense was not anticipated. There is an additional $280 expense that the town clerk had unanticipated. This was related to a data processing bill from our IT consultant to resolve an IT issue in the town clerk's office at the end of the year, to which he did not have funding for, but he needed to address.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have none.
I will entertain a motion to transfer from salary and checkers account 010-100-00-50-5120, the sum of $280.05, and also from salary checkers account 010-113-0000 is that a 50? -512.
Yes.
A sum of $544.09 for a grand total of $824.14. To pay expenses, 161 account number 010-0-16, I'm sorry, dash 161-0000-70-5710, the sum of $280.05, and from account number 161 personnel, account number 010-00-161-0000-50-5101, sum of $544.09, for a grand total of $824.14.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Chico?
Aye.
Mr. Karen? Aye. Chairman Hull is an aye. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to discuss the Junkyard Bylaw Policy and Application Form Update. Mr. Mullen, correct me if I'm wrong, we are not voting on approval of this in its final form. Do you need a vote or just a consensus on whether or not what you have presented is okay or needs to be amended?
So really, like, and I want to thank Ms. Grady and Commissioner Aguirre for their work on this over the last few weeks. But we have we've been discussing this, as you know, Mr. Chairman. As you know, Mr. Chairman, internally, since the end of the last calendar year, and I'm proud that we have, essentially a first draft here this evening. We've been doing some research. We obviously have a Class 3 licensing process, but our Class 3, inherent in our Class 3 licensing process does leave a gap with regards to junkyards, and but in Article 5 of the Town of Dayton bylaws, we do have a bylaw that the board is the approval and licensing process of junkyards, which we've always dealt with the Class 3. We've always dealt with the Class 3 licenses, but we haven't actually dealt with the remaining junkyards as well. So what we have tried to put together is a draft licensing guideline that we would use beginning this at the end of this calendar year during our licensing process. And we tried to be all encompassing. One of the things we do want to have additional internal conversation with the building commissioner. You'll notice in the enforcement in the enforcement that in the third line down, it does discuss the butter notification, and we want to make sure we define the butters. We also want to make sure that we have a follow-up internal conversation before we come back with a more final draft about any noise issues as well, any environmental issues that we have to consider as well. But we wanted to come forward and provide the opportunity for feedback from the board or the public. As we go forward in the remainder of the approval process.
Mr. Pacheco, do you?
Just make a comment that I think it's important that the abutters be notified, so.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's in there, but, we just want to define within how many feet, or really,
Yeah.
make sure we define about it.
Mr. Cameron?
Anybody gonna be grandfathered in?
That is something we want, that's something we want to look at and really solidify as well.
Yeah.
I forget the town we were looking at, but, that town to an extent had a grandfathering clause, but there were a number of conditions and requirements that even with the grandfathering,
They still had to,
yes. So yeah, it was like a hybrid approach.
everything was, they have to follow the rules,
Yes.
but they would be grandfathered in.
Yeah. So that's what we would really look at, but that's one of the areas where we want to, where we want to have further internal conversation before coming back.
Right.
I have a concern. One of the reasons why I brought this to the attention of the board way back was that the bylaw was written that it would, bylaw stated, and it was approved by the town, that the enforcement of the regulations of junkyards in this town would be subject to the rules, regulations, and policies of the Board of Selectmen, and then there was a blank space, because there were no rules, regulations, and policies. As I look at this, I don't see any rules and regulations governing the conduct of the businesses. You know, we talk about this,
Oh, okay, yep.
we talk about testing, making sure weights and measures are okay, that their books are on the up and up, but the rules governing the running of those businesses. I understand that the Board of Health has a series of rules. I understand Conservation has a series of rules, and they are both enforcement officers, and their rules are governed by Massachusetts statute. However, what rules and regulations will the Board of Selectmen have so that we can empower Mr. Aguirre to enforce them in the day-to-day operations of a junkyard? Example, noise, burning, discharge of odors, hours of operation. Those are some of the things that I was hoping to see,
Okay.
because one of the things that brought this to my attention was that I had received some complaints from some neighbors about a business in town. And I spoke to Mr. Aguirre about it, and his response to me was, Len, I see where you're coming from, but I can't enforce rules that don't exist. So what I'm asking is, we could have some rules, specific rules. Reaching out to other towns might be a quick way to do it.
Yep.
If not, then maybe the three of us, based on our experiences, may have some areas or some specific rules that we would like to see addressed. So, I don't think we're ready to vote on this yet.
Oh, no.
because I don't see any rules of enforcement, in particular for Mr. Aguirre. And from what I heard in talking with him, the state doesn't have specific enforcement rules for the building commissioner. Any
Nope.
further questions?
No.
Okay. So, Could we,
Yeah, no, I understand wholeheartedly. I mean, we talk about the licensing process, but we don't talk about the violations. Oh, and what happens if there is a violation, what does that cause and so forth.
right.
Nope, I understand. Thank you for that.
That's why we, multiple drafts, and
Oh, yeah, no,
Before we
this
get
is
to the
part of the
fine-
process.
thank you.
Thank you.
We have a facilities request. Review, discuss, and act on the Dayton Rehoboth Regional High School Girls Field Hockey Car Wash. It's my understanding this has been an annual event. If they're going to sell food, they need a temperature food permit, as Mr. Pilling has pointed out. And if the garage bathroom is not available, they will need a porta potty. Have you had any discussion with Mr. Ferry, who in the past has been a huge help to these girls?
Yes, he has, and I believe when the high school or any town group they do have an event, he does make the highway facilities open for those purposes. So that's never an issue, Mr. Chairman.
And the fact that they're going to be using water, it doesn't say here on the application that fees are waived, so it's my understanding there are no fees?
No, we traditionally do not charge for the use of the water.
Great. Are there any questions?
I have no questions.
Do I have a motion to grant permission for the DR High School Girls Field Hockey Team to hold their car wash at the town garage?
I so move.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is I'm sorry, Mr. Karen?
It's okay, you can forget about me. Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Thank you. We have a request for Dayton Rehoboth Regional High School Girls Lacrosse Team to have a car wash on August 20th, 2022. Again, Mr. Pilling is saying if they're going to sell food, they will need a temporary food permit. And again, if bathrooms are not available, they will need a porta potty. Are there any questions?
I have no questions.
And again, as was the case for the field hockey, there will be no charge to the girls for this. I will entertain a motion to accept or to approve the request.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request of the Dayton Rehoboth Regional High School Girls Lacrosse Car Wash
Second.
to use the
Motion.
town garage.
Motion made and second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Review, discuss, and act changes to the Board of Selectmen's August meeting schedule. This is from Leanne Kerwin, Administrative Assistant. The Board of Selectmen are currently scheduled to meet twice in August, August 10th, 2022, and August 24th, 2022. Due to various vacation schedules and after careful review of the calendar, it has been suggested that the board meet only once on August 24th, 2022. Are there any questions in regards to this? No. The only thing that I would like to add, should an emergency come up, we will schedule a meeting.
Absolutely.
Only if it is an emergency. And it will make it hybrid if people have other commitments, so that they can Zoom in if need be.
One of the things just to share with the board and the public right now is the law that allows for hybrid and remote participation. Actually right as of now is expiring on July 15th. So right now there's been talk about the legislature rushing to do something, in the House and Senate rushing to do something to extend it. But right now the House of Representatives, they have a proposal that would make hybrid meetings mandatory going forward. which is actually differs from a Senate proposal. So because of that conflict as of right now, the current remote and hybrid law that's in effect to July 15th is anticipated to end on July 15th without any additional law in its place. That could change tomorrow, but for this board and other boards and committees, we're actually gonna send a reminder email out tomorrow to everyone, so everyone's aware of the potential change in law requirements, but that is a consideration going forward.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept the change of the Board of Selectmen's August meeting schedule to only one meeting, and that meeting would be August 24th, 2022.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor, Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Acknowledgements. Letter from Ray Haig for donation. Dear sirs, I respectfully request to have the Board of Selectmen recognize this donation to the Veteran Services from Daniel Higgins in the amount of $150. The Veterans Department deeply appreciates Mr. Higgins's donation. Respectfully, Ray E. Haig, Director of Veteran Services. Thank you. I might add, Mr. Higgins, over the past year, has really stepped up and helped the town of Dayton tremendously. His service on the planning board, his service as chairman of the Dayton Industrial Development Commission are certainly appreciated. And he's worked, I know my experience with the Dayton Industrial Development Commission, he's put in a lot of hours. So I want to thank Mr. Higgins for this donation.
Just one thing on that. In addition to recognizing it, if the board would be are able to accept that donation as well, that would be great.
I will entertain a motion to accept from Daniel Higgins the amount of $150 to be donated to the Veterans Department.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor, Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. We received a letter from Bristol Agricultural High School acknowledging the town for continued support. On behalf of Bristol Aggie, we would like to thank you for your continued support and allowing us to use the field. I would imagine that's the athletic field behind Town Hall, the Spratt Field. Without your support, we would not be able to offer our students the opportunity to play soccer and softball. We are grateful to you. Thank you, Bristol Aggie School. Are there any questions? Correspondence. Letter from Nathan Conti regarding his resignation from the Cable Committee. I want to inform you that I'm resigning from my position on the Cable Television Committee effective June 30th. I have enjoyed my time working on this committee and value the experience I gained from working in television. As much as I enjoy working here, I'm planning on staying on the Cape this summer with my family and will be attending Chaplin College to study filmmaking in August. So I've decided to resign at this time. I believe we voted earlier to...
So we thanked him, but we didn't have the official resignation, I believe. Is that correct, Mr. Marvel?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't think we really voted on it, so
okay,
we're taking in a vote just to
sure. Make it official.
thank you, appreciate it.
I will entertain a motion to accept the resignation with sincere thanks and appreciation of Nathan Conti from the Cable Committee.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made second. Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Leonard Hull is an aye. And again, Mr. Conti, thank you for your efforts. Now, before we go on to the next item, Mr. Mullen, have we posted this position?
Yes.
Have we set a deadline for accepting of applications? Or
The
This
chief
is
actually, he reposted it, last week, so.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, like you're talking about Mr.
Cable,
Conti's?
yes, the cable committee.
We haven't, I don't think, posted a vacancy. There are already these vacancies on cable, but we did, the board did just approve the new member and Mr. Lawrence as a new member of cable.
Thank you. Ms. Marvel, please reach out to Superintendent Rooney. He is, I explained the situation, and I know what they do in Taunton. And he would like to work with you and seeing if we can get more DR students involved in helping you. Obviously, there'll be a selection process, and obviously, you're looking for responsible and older students if none of the adults in the community wish to step up. But he is willing to work with you to help you.
That'd be great, 'cause I know I've been working with teacher Anthony, I can't think of his last name, but he's into television as a course over in DR. The tough part is in the summertime, I dealt with them before, a lot of kids are going down the Cape or whatever, and the last thing they want to do is be here during the summertime. So hopefully in the spring, in the fall, we'll probably get, more candidates that want to come out and see us.
Well, my experience in Taunton, and I know they still do this, is they offer a lot of incentive for students to work their program. And they do not only the educational side, but the government side. And some of those incentives include number of hours that you put in will impact your grade. More hours you put in, the higher your grade. Also, it can be the incentive of additional credits towards graduation. So I believe Mr. Rooney is willing, through his assistant, to work with you in trying to entice students to give you a hand. And I know Mr. Conti was one of those students, so I know you've had some really good ones help in the past. Hopefully we can
It's like a
continue.
stepping stone for the students, and they move on, so
Sure.
it's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, a letter in regards to Tyler Nicolin. From Chief McGee. Please accept this letter as notification of my formal resignation from my position of full-time firefighter paramedic within the Dayton Fire Department, effective July 10th, 2022. My final tour of duty will be July 7th, 2022. After 7 years as a career member of the Dayton Fire Department, I have chosen to continue my career with a neighboring department. I will forever be grateful for the education and valuable experience I gained as a career member of this department. I maintain a vested interest in the Dayton Fire Department as well as Dayton PFF Local 4332, in which it should be noted Tyler was the president of. It is my intent to remain on the department as a call firefighter paramedic and to continue assisting in the strides the department has been able to achieve over the recent years. Respectfully, Tyler Nicolin. I will entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Tyler with sincere thanks and appreciation.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. And Tyler, you will be sadly missed. Mr. Mullen, have this position been posted?
Yes, it has.
Have they had any applicants, or is it, the position still open?
The position is still open.
Okay, thank you. One of the things I want to caution both of members, the competition for EMTs and firefighters throughout the state of Massachusetts is getting really intense, and that is having an impact on salary. And I think in this instance, that played a factor that we need to be aware of as we go forward. Especially in EMS, where they have certain state mandates for manning an ambulance. So something we're gonna need to watch very closely as a town. Letter from Chief McGee regarding new call firefighter Samuel Finney. Dear Board, I am writing this letter to inform you that effective on July 1st, 2022, I will be appointing one new member to the call paramedic firefighter ranks. The new member's name is Samuel Finney. Respectfully, Christopher J. McGee, Chief of the Fire Department. Are there any questions? At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept the appointment of call paramedic firefighter Samuel Finney to the Dayton Fire Department.
I'll make a motion that we acknowledge the letter from Fire Chief Christopher McGee that Samuel Finney has been appointed as a call paramedic and firefighter in the firefighter's rank.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Pacheco, aye. Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull, an aye. Minutes, approval of the minutes for the May 18th, 2022 meeting. Are there any questions in regards to those minutes? Hopefully all of you have had a chance to review them. With that being said, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the special meeting minutes for the Board of Selectmen from May 18th, 2022.
Mr. Karen? Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen? Chairman Hull is an aye. We also have the minutes of the May 25th, 2022 regular Board of Selectmen meeting. Hopefully all of you have had a chance to review them. Are there any questions?
Nope.
With that being said, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the regular meeting minutes of May 25th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Hopefully all of you have had an opportunity to review the minutes of May 31st, 2022 meeting. And I will, unless there are any questions, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the special meeting minutes of May 31st, 2022.
Are there,
Second.
motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. And I will ask that there be a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 8, 2022.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the Board of Selectmen's regular meeting minutes of June 8th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Approval of the warrants.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the warrants from June 29th, 2022. 52A-22, $112,991. 52B-22, $42,485.62. And 52C-22, $139,006.87.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made in second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen? Chairman Hull is an aye. Warrant dated July 6, 2022.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the warrants from July 6, 2022. 1A-23, $45,583.08. 1B-23, $1,126,853.17. 53A-22, $110,693.80. 52B-22, $167,389.98. And 53C-22, $4,708.21.
No, a second.
Second.
Motion made in second. Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Motion to approve the warrant of dated July 13, 2022.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the warrants dated July 13, 2022. 2A-23, $108,307.93. 2B-23, $32,950. 2C-23, $228,008.37, and 54B-22, $149, $111.48.
Mr. Karen? Motion made and second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Public input. I don't see anyone remaining in Zoom. Mr. Marvel, if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor? Mr. Pacheco?
Aye.
Mr. Karen?
Aye.
Chairman Hull is an aye. Good evening and thank you.